The global damage of cybercrime has risen to an average of $11 million per minute. That's right, $11 million per minute. 60% of small and mid-sized companies that have a data breach end up closing their doors within 6 months because they can't afford the costs. The costs of falling victim to a cyber attack can include loss of business, downtime and productivity losses, reparation costs for customers that have had data stolen, and more. Today, we're going to discuss some of the latest data breaches in the news and what you can do to help prevent your business from becoming a victim. Hello, I'm Michael Kinnett, CEO and founder of Eternal Networks. Every Friday at 1 p.m. on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and my personal LinkedIn, I go live and discuss the latest tech and cyberspace news that may affect your business. At the end of our live session, I'll also be answering questions from the audience. So if you have any tech and cybersecurity questions, get them ready. I'll make sure to leave time at the end to cover those. First, news. And this week, normally I pick one or two. This week, man, there was a lot to cover. So I'm not going to dig in deep into any of them except for one. But I do want to share some of the headlines for cybersecurity news that you may or may not have heard of this week. So the company Dole, you may know them for their fruit, right? They canned fruit, pineapple, mandarin oranges, etc., right? They suffered a ransomware attack in the United States that impacted their operations. They actually shut down in some areas while they dealt with it. Also, Activision, a very large video game company, they confirmed a data breach that exposed employee information and Call of Duty, one of the more popular video games, had their plans stolen. Activision did not even notify the employees of the data breach for months. So that just came out in the news this last week or so. Stanford University disclosed that they had a data breach affecting PhD applicants. Also, and this is a little bit more on the positive side of the headlines. The Dutch police arrested 3 ransomware actors that had been extorting over 2.5 million euros. And so, good news for the good guys there on that one. Also, the Royal Mail had a Lockbit ransomware attack, and they were shut down for weeks. This last week, they finally were able to restore their global shipping capabilities after recovering from that ransomware attack. So quite a bit of news. And then the big one that I'm actually going to talk a little bit about is GoDaddy. GoDaddy, if you don't know who they are a very large company that handles domain registrations and website hosting, among other services. But those are the two that they're really known for. I believe they're in the realm of 78 million domains that are registered with them. Somewhere in that, last time I saw, may have gone up or down, but somewhere in that ballpark, right? Millions and millions and millions of websites, domain name records and stuff are with them. Well, they've revealed that they had a data breach, and not just one data breach, but 3 years worth of data breaches. They recently disclosed in their SEC filing that they were victim of a multi-year security breach. The same threat actor, 3 years in a row, stole information from them and did criminal activity on their networks. And so they stole source code, customer and employee data, and they were able to infect GoDaddy client websites with malware. So I'm going to go back to May of 2020. May of 2020, these criminal hackers stole 28,000 customers' web hosting login credentials, which means if you had your website hosted with GoDaddy around that time, you may have been victim, and these criminals may have had your login information to be able to gain access to your websites. Fast forward to November 2021, the same criminal actors stole the source code from GoDaddy for their managed WordPress, which WordPress is the more popular website hosting platform that GoDaddy uses. So they stole the source code for that. Now, fast forward again, December 2022, the hackers, same guys, installed malware on the GoDaddy cPanel hosting servers, which gave them access to infect client websites with malware and links and other things to propagate phishing and other criminal activity and scams. And so what you have here is a history, 3 years in a row, of different types of breaches within GoDaddy's organization that have directly, impacted their clients and exposed their clients to risk. So, I'm sure you'll hear more in the days and weeks to come. But that was big news in the cybersecurity realm of a multi-year breach. I can't help but wonder, right after the first one, I'm sure they improved a few things. After the second one, hopefully they improved a few things. But 3 in a row in 3 different areas. Hopefully GoDaddy from top to bottom is reevaluating their security in all these areas and how they can improve things. So that leads us to our discussion for the day. I'm going to be talking about top 5 cybersecurity. I don't want to call them mistakes or tips, whatever, but things that you can do to help you so that your data is not at risk and your systems are not at risk, right? So 5 things that you can implement to help improve your cybersecurity. And things that, if they're overlooked, right, can be detrimental to your system, right? So these are common missteps, common mistakes that people make to thinking about their IT security best practices, right? So number 1 is multi-factor authentication. I can't emphasize this one enough. Multi-factor authentication or 2-factor authentication, talked about it before. It is a way of adding more than one way of authenticating who you are, right? So way number 1, username and password. Number 2, or the multi-factor part, would be a text message code, an email address code, an authentication app, rotating code. You can have physical keys, right? They're YubiKeys, they're physical hardware, smart cards, that if that's not plugged into the computer to authenticate who you are, it doesn't let you in, right? So the multi-factor is 1, it's something that you know, username and password, and 2, something that you have, right? That access to that text message, that whatever, right? Something as second authentication factor. And so criminals can get your username, then get your password, right? I mean, we just talked about the breach at GoDaddy, where 28,000 customers had their credentials stolen from GoDaddy, username and password. So if you had a GoDaddy website 3 years ago and your username and password was stolen and you did not have multi-factor authentication, those criminals now had access to your website, to the back end where they could do whatever they wanted. Now, if you had multi-factor authentication, those criminals could try to log in, but without that MFA or 2FA code, they're not going to get in. And so essentially, it's a second lock on your system to prevent criminals and hackers and others from gaining access to those systems. And so it's not hard to set up. Most common, apps that are in use have the capabilities for that. If you've got Google, Microsoft 365, right, Facebook, all of these have MFA functions that you can turn on to enable you to protect your accounts. So not implementing those, big mistake, don't do it. Implement MFA wherever you can. The next big tip I have, or a big mistake to avoid, is ignoring the use of shadow IT. Now, I've done videos talking about shadow IT before. We did a webinar last year about it. What shadow IT is the use of technology and applications in your business that IT and management don't know about. Perfect. The best example I have for this is, let's say you use OneDrive within your organization for sharing docs and information, right? Collaborating within your company. And because that's what the company uses, you have proper security controls in place to minimize the exposure of data, the ability to share it outside for outside users to download, access those critical information. You can secure it through MFA, right? You can back it up through various different backup tools. Now, let's say one of your employees says, oh, that's great, but it's too controlled, it's too locked down. I'm going to install Dropbox so that I can copy data over from OneDrive, put it in Dropbox, and then I can share it with vendors, clients, end users, criminals, whoever, right? Well, now IT does not know about Dropbox if you're ignoring shadow IT, right? They don't know about it. They're not securing it. They don't know if the proper controls are in place. They don't know if the data there is being backed up, and what kind of data is there, right? If there's client confidential data and that end user's Dropbox gets breached because they don't have the proper controls in place, then your business is liable for what happened. Right now, your business has had a breach. It's not your employee had a breach, your business had a breach. And so it's important you have mechanisms in place to monitor use of shadow IT and to implement those controls that's necessary. Now, that doesn't mean you eliminate shadow IT and say, oh, it's all forbidden, because your place may find through trying other things that are better. But you got to be careful how you do that and be aware of it. Next, this is a common misconception, and there's various levels of this, right? Thinking that you're fine with only an antivirus application. And I would expand that and say, there are people still that I talk to that have Macs, and they're like, oh, Macs don't need antivirus. They don't need security because they're already secure. Or people that say, oh, Windows has built-in antivirus now, I'm good. Well, let me tell you, in today's environment, it's not going to cut it anymore, especially if you're getting the free antivirus with Microsoft, right? Configured out of the box, not going to offer a whole lot of protection. It might protect you from a virus, but it's not going to protect you from malware, ransomware, or many of the other things that are out there today. So it's critical, right, that you not only have antivirus, but that you have anti-malware, anti-ransomware. Highly recommend NDR, network detection response, and managed detection response, where you actually are collecting and analyzing logs and data and all the kind of stuff that's going on your systems and on your network, and having that analyzed through AI and other systems and security technicians. Zero Trust is another one, Zero Trust networking applications, SIM software. There's so many different pieces of security software that, depending on your industry, you need. But antivirus, no matter what industry you're in, not enough, right? It's not going to protect you from ransomware, malware, and some of these other malicious things that are out there. So it's critical that you have an entire security layered approach to security with different applications. All right, the next one. And this one is very common as well, right? And that's not having device management in place. If you have devices, whether they're tablets, cell phones, laptops, desktops, whatever, servers, and you don't have any sort of device management in place that's allowing you to know what's going on those, what's installed, are they up to date, are they patched, are they vulnerable, who has them, where are they, what are they accessing? If you don't have any of that in place, you can't control your data. You have no idea where that data is, who's controlling it, who's seeing it, who's accessing it. That can leave you open for a lot of risk in your business. And then finally, not providing training to your employees. That's another huge mistake. 95% of cybersecurity breaches are caused by human error. Now, that goes to phishing attacks, other things, right? We're not saying that your employee is doing something and there's not other things part of it, right? But the criminal sending a phishing campaign to your employees is not going to breach the network if your employees don't respond to it, if they don't click on it. So that's where when we say 95% of breaches, some of those are phishing, some of those are malicious websites, some of those are other things, but they're not going to cause a breach without a human interacting and responding and falling for that scam. So it's critical that you train your employees how to recognize those scams and those risks that they're going to see, right? There's no system that's going to 100% protect you. Your employees need to be a line of defense, but they need to understand and be trained on how to do that. And I'm not talking like just an annual training. I'm talking about regular ongoing training. You train them once a year, great, better than nothing. But what happens 10 months after that when they haven't, nobody's talked about it, they haven't done any additional training, and they've forgotten some of those, core parts of that training. You need something that's reminding them and refreshing that training on an ongoing basis. So those are the 5 common mistakes or tips, things to avoid to help improve the cybersecurity and reduce risk in your business organization. So hopefully you found those helpful. I just say, don't stay in the dark about your IT risk and security vulnerabilities with your organization, right? If the things that I talked about, you're like, oh, I thought antivirus was good enough. Oh, I don't even know what device management is, right? If some of the things I just talked about in those top 5 things, if you don't have those, reach out to me, right? Even if you don't work with me professionally and buy from me, if you have questions about those, I'm more than willing. In fact, I'm happy to answer those, right? My goal is to help improve cybersecurity for small businesses. And so whether that's me and my company providing that, or whether that's me pointing you in the direction where you can get those resources, don't leave yourself exposed to those things. Reach out to me. We can schedule for us to do a full cybersecurity audit to uncover vulnerabilities so that they can be fortified, right? To reduce your risk. When it comes down to it, it's you and your business's risk. And we're here to help you to reduce that risk. If you need any help with training, implementing any of those security measures I mentioned, like I said, here to help. Later this month, we are going to be having, I guess it's not this month, in March, we're going to be having our monthly webinar, International Backup Days at the end of March. And so we're going to be having a free educational webinar on data backup. One of the most business-friendly innovations in recent years has been the rapid growth of cloud applications like Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. And these software as a service, or SaaS apps, have fundamentally changed how we do business. And so while there's many great benefits for the ability to remote work and other things, right, that come with these, one thing that they can't do is completely protect your business data. So to discuss this possible security risk, Datto's SaaS expert, Jim Robison, will be our guest. He's going to be giving us a rundown on the top 3 reasons why you should be backing up your SaaS data and answering your questions. We'll be happy to have him on board. That's going to be in March. I'll make sure that we have a link posted to the registration. Let's see here. It looks like Emily's got a question. How much time do you think it generally takes to train employees properly every year, say for a small business? So I can tell you what we do internally and what we do for our clients. We do an annual training. So this is an online course they can complete on their own time, whenever, lunchtime, 2 hours. It doesn't take more than an hour. Most people it takes 45 minutes to complete. And what it does is it goes through common risks, and it does it in a storytelling mode. So I just finished our 2023 training this last month, the updated one for the annual one for the year. It took me about 40 minutes to finish it. And it's a story, right? So it's the story of a breach. And the FBI, 2 FBI agents come in and they're investigating it and asking questions and everything and trying to track down. And in the course of this, they're explaining different ways that breaches can happen and how to recognize those. And so it's not boring, right? It's through storytelling, it's fun, interactive. So that's the annual training. So 45 minutes to an hour. And then we do weekly short 3 to 5 minute video trainings that we send out that go over different topics, right? How to recognize this type of scam or that type of scam, or phishing, just different things with little tips and tricks. And along with that, there's questions, right? So there's a 3 to 5 minute video, 4 questions. You get scored on it. You have an overall security score for the year. It goes up and down as you do these things. And then we do at least quarterly. We recommend monthly phishing testing, where we're actually sending out phishing to try to help your employees to identify those phishing and catching the fake ones, as well as catching the real ones. So hopefully that was helpful. Emily, let's see if there's any other, I don't see any other live questions on here. So I'll wrap up here. If you do have any questions, if you're watching this after the fact, direct message me, or you can contact us through our website, ITNet.works. We're more than happy to help you and answer any of your questions to help you improve your overall security and reduce your risk. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye.